Yes, we saw Duane in Barnsley. It's actually run up against, in the first round, Liang Wenbo, who was, of course, defending the English Open. Liang won the match, but he got some important experience on TV. This is as tough as it gets, as we've been saying. It was a difficult shot. He grossly overcut it.
Jones 5.
The in-off, of course, has given Ronnie a clear shot at the red. This was difficult. It was very thin, but not quite as thin as he played it.
Jones arrived in Belfast off the back of 6 consecutive losses, so to beat Mitchell Mann, a player who, as he mentioned in that interview, he'd lost to quite a bit as a junior, was a timely boost, but today, a completely different proposition for him.
1.
Yeah, it wasn't the perfect kiss there. I mean, he's got choice of various colours, but he's got to avoid the bulk colours playing around off the blue, in and out of bulk and up the table. That was always going to be the problem.
6.
That's one out of character for Ronnie to crash into a bulk colour, but it was not a usual sort of a shot. The blue was off its spot, so the angle was kind of different. That's a bit of a lethargic one as well from O'Sullivan.
6.
That's not good. I know he strives for perfection, but that was a weak safety.
Foul. Duane Jones 4.
A scratchy start from the Rocket. Way too thick, hence the in-off. Not impressed.
One.
Jones was first coached by Doug Mountjoy, twice a UK champion, former World Championship finalist, of course. The year that Steve Davis won the first of his 6 titles, back in 1981.
Yes, can do a lot worse than that. One of the great Welsh players of yesteryear, Doug Mountjoy, still involved and
3.
still plays a bit, I think. But a real good guy, tough match player.
He beat Stephen Hendry,
4.
didn't he, in one of those UK finals at a time when Hendry had established himself as the best in the world.
Made 3 back-to-back centuries in that final as well against Hendry. Duane is obviously, he looks good at the table, and as you rightly say, that Mitchell Mann result was a decent one, having struggled. I noticed he's got a win against Kurt Mafflin this season as well, so it is amongst the not so good. There are decent performances. But well, really, I guess this is as stern an examination of where his game is at than anything else. Playing Rocket here in a venue when he's right at the top of his game. It's not well played. I don't quite know what he tried there. I don't know whether the... Wow. He's playing it to the middle. I can't believe he landed where he meant to. That was a little nervy one, wasn't it, the previous positional shot, to the point where he didn't even have the chance to play the pink.
Duane draws 11.
So he's edgy, quite understandably.
Jones got back on the tour this season, having dropped off last via Q School. First term pro 2 years ago, beating Zhao Xintong in the final round of Q School, the player who, of course, knocked out Barry Hawkins last evening.
Yes, talking about the way the game has changed, Philip, I was looking at the live scores about an hour ago, and in the outside room with 5 tables, there was one English player, Liam Highfield, one Finnish player, one Thai player, and all the rest from China, all in action at the same time. One of the Chinese playing each other.
It's becoming a truly global game now, isn't it? And that can only be a good thing.
This is a typical O'Sullivan, really testing safety shot. He's opened up all the balls and cover behind the blue on most of the reds. That's sometimes unnoticed with O'Sullivan. That, you know what he's the most devastating break builder you'll see, but he's able to tie his opponent in knots. And Duane has got a difficult shot here, not only to get the thin contact, but to cover the red close to the right corner. That's a good effort. It's a good comeback shot. Brown covers all of those 3 reds on the right of the table. Well, clearly not as planned. He must have played in behind that red, I would say. Certainly not to hit it. So, Duane has won the tactical battle there. Now he's got to punish.
One.
I can only think he played this thicker to get the cue ball this side of the red that he went into.
Seven. Eight. Fourteen.
Well, that must be
Range rounds
one of the
14.
biggest kicks of the season.
Well, it was an odd one, Philip. It's two balls seem to almost stick together. And you can only laugh those off.
1.
Very, very unfortunate, wasn't it? Because we haven't seen too many of late with players increasingly using this new finished chalk, which seems to have made a big difference. But that was incredible.
Yeah, it was a very odd reaction, I must say. The amount of people that say kicks are due to bad cueing,
7.
but I'll explain what he did wrong there, because I'm not sure.
Eight.
Well, this was the kick. For a final time, it just went straight on. Ronnie's last shot. He was trying to thread the cue ball through the eye of a needle to get onto the black, which failed. So he's not started this match in the dynamic way that he did his first frame of yesterday. What a shot that is. What a shot. Well, that might just turn things around. I can think of
14.
there are a few other players that would have taken this on. He had the obvious safety shot.
$15. 15. 22. 23.
I can't think of a worse place it could end up.
29.
To the point where the red he played on, he won't even go for. He just can't cue it.
Ryan Sullivan, 29.
Very much second prize, the safety.
I was in the media room earlier when Mark Williams was giving his post-match press conference after an impressive win over Tom Ford 4-0, and he was being asked about Ronnie O'Sullivan and the way he's playing right now and the fact that he seems to be playing as well as ever. There's another error from Duane Jones, even though he's on the cusp of his 42nd birthday. And Williams said, well, I don't think it's that he's better than he's ever been, but so much more accepting of the errors he makes.
1.
It's his temperament which has changed. And Williams said if he'd had this kind of attitude 10, 15, 20 years ago, he'd have won 12 world titles by now.
Eight.
Williams' view is that O'Sullivan is unquestionably the best ever, and that includes his great
9.
friend Stephen Hendry, even though, of course, Hendry has the 7 world titles to O'Sullivan's 5 at the moment.
$16. 17.
Anything but straight. Bit of an angle to screw him behind the red is what he's looking for. And it'll only be the red that he needs, so he can give it his full attention. Although from there,
24.
it's a little awkward. Yeah, be like giving this every chance, playing it slowly, I think. And that was the problem.
Ryan Sullivan,
Finished
24.
with his cue ball on the rail. I still thought he'd get it. but he didn't really threaten the pocket there. It was never in. I have to say, he's a bit bleary-eyed today, isn't he? Sometimes jet lag, it can hit you in different ways, and I think he looks a little bit the worse for wear. It's been a very busy schedule in the last 10, 12 days.
1.
So still enough there for Duane Jones to pinch this scrappy opening frame.
Yes, and what a shot in the arm it would be if he could win this frame, which seemed to be
6.
beyond him. It's not going to be easy. Getting towards the brown. He's not going to be simple from the green, especially with the green off its spot. That one wriggled. Well, that's a very handy kiss.
8.
Apologises. Not as intended, but he'll take it.
Yes. He didn't play anything like this. He nearly missed the yellow. He's looking at the very narrow angle of the brown to the middle pocket.
11.
And of course he's got to play this pretty slowly. Not much pocket there to aim at.
$15.
So blue, pink and black for a very handy steal for the underdog.
$20.
That was another kick.
0.6.
Oh, that's horrible. That really was a bad kick. The contact was terrible. The sound of it was almost sparks flew up there. It's a horrible kick. And of course, what it does, it just deadens the cue ball. It doesn't go anywhere.
Well, that's 2 bits of ill luck for Jones in this frame. And it's good luck he needs today if he's to spring a major surprise.
Well, this is very dangerous. Surely not enough. That's the worst outcome of all.
Oh. Duane Jones 26. Ronnie Sullivan 7. And frame.
Would you believe it? Jones fouls the frame deciding ball and loses the frame as a result. Pretty dramatic one, a scrappy one. But Ronnie O'Sullivan, having looked set to lose it, ends up winning it.
Tel Aviv Marathon.
take the opening frame, but having lost position, rather careless to see the white disappear into the green pocket off the black to hand the frame to Ronnie O'Sullivan, an early Christmas present for the Rocket, who was a little shaky in that frame, Neil.
Ronnie was shaky in that frame indeed, and while it's a cruel game, Duane Jones had two horrible kicks. He gifted this man the frame with that shot on the black. I mean, I have to say that priority is, okay, getting the cue ball, the object ball safe, but you certainly don't leave the cue ball going in off. That's happening here. Well, he sounds something that he doesn't like.
One of those stands and then come back. Thank you.
One of the photographers has incurred the O'Sullivan wrath.
I fear he has come without his tripod.
He just made the walk of shame out of the building.
Do not pass go. Do not collect £200. I'm showing my age there, aren't I? Does anyone play Monopoly anymore? There's the venue. Over on table 2, Ricky Walden up against Jack Lazowski. That's an intriguing matchup. Walden has rather slipped off the radar in recent times. Multiple ranking event winner, of course.
1.
Didn't mean that. And it's not a lot of use to him, actually, because even if he does try and drop in behind this black, it's very difficult to cover all the reds meaningfully. He's played it extremely well, actually, although I still think
Duane Jones 1.
Sullivan should be able to lie into the side of the bunch. This was the fluke, he knew nothing of it. He had very deft touch on the black, though. Oh dear. And that is not a good shot. There are certainly a lot of chalk marks on the table. Only just brushing them down there, and we've seen a couple of bad kicks. I don't know one of these two players. I'm guessing it's Duane using chalk that leaves a residue on the table. And for that reason, some of the contacts are not ideal.
1.
It feels like we're going back in time talking about kicks, because they've not been playing a big part in snooker this season till now.
Yeah, so Sullivan was definitely using the new stuff in Shanghai. And one
4.
of the features of it is that it leaves the table much cleaner than in the olden days, because
5.
this new chalk seems to stay on the tip much better. It's a bit patchy, though, from the Rocket at the moment. This is not the sort of form he's been producing regularly this season so far.
No. Played a lot of snooker recently, and as much as he's been playing like a machine recently, he's a human being with blood running through his veins. At the moment, he's having a bit of an off day.
1. Eight. 9.
It's all good cueing. Little stun shot for the red at the bottom of the bunch that goes. Yeah, he just didn't really have a nice clear shot at it.
9.
Looked an easy shot, but he was queuing down on it. Playing with a bit of pace. Nearly went in.
One.
The frustration for Jones will be that he's not been blown away by any means by
8.
O'Sullivan yet. He's had chances, but he hasn't been able to convert them in the way you simply have to do. Because we know
9.
this guy can flick a switch and suddenly power away in unassailable fashion.
Yes, the bottom red goes of those 5 in the bunch. And I think Ronnie has the angle just to play over to where he's standing now. There may be a plant in there as well. I think he was looking at that option. But I think the other red is the one he'll want.
$14.
I think the other factor here, and we should
15.
mention it, is when a player has been pretty dominant, winning so many matches, they don't always have to play at their best to win again. We've seen it in darts with the likes of Van Gerwen, and he's won week in, week out for the last year or two.
0.2.
And sometimes he doesn't always play at his best, but the other guy's not really fancying the job very much. And that can happen.
0.3.
I've seen it in snooker with Hendry and Davis during their prime. And winning becomes a habit.
28. $29. $36. 37. $43. 44.
So he needs another red, whatever colour he takes here. And the red will pass the yellow to the top left. Frame ball next.
48. 49. 2. 53. 57. 58.
Well, this could have been 2-0 the other way. Certainly the first frame, Ronnie should not have won it. This one, Duane Jones had chances in, one especially with the pink in the middle that he missed.
63.
You do get opportunities against great players. You don't get that many, though. That's the problem. Whereas you move down a notch, you might get 2 or 3 chances a frame. You might get 1 opportunity a frame against top players. And you've got to take them.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 65.
That was much more like it, though, from Ronnie O'Sullivan. A fluent break of 65 after that error on the pink into right centre from Duane Jones. And the difficult assignment is getting harder and harder. O'Sullivan now leading by 2 frames to 0.
14.
Despite the chances that Jones has had so far, and he's had a few, his highest break is just 26, so that has to change very quickly.
He was looking for, nothing really moved. I can't believe that plant is available. The cube was right on the reds. The double, the worst outcome is what happened. The red will hit the far jaw and come back towards the bunch. It's always the problem. If you play a double as a shot to nothing, you hit the wrong part of the pocket.
One.
It's got to be positive, obviously. This is just the worst thing that could happen.
Six. Seven. Twelve. 13.
Well, that's not great. The green is just slightly down from its spot, which means he can cut it in. He might try and go into the bunch from this shot. Got to be executed very well. Deserves to be on one here.
$16.
But he's not on one. As he tries to cut this in. Goodness, this is thin. Wow. It was very thin. And
17.
he's finished on the black. What a shot. What a shot that was.
$24. 25.
I feel that Keenan arm is loosening up a little bit now. It was a little bit stiff earlier on. He may have been a bit unlucky with the cannon there. There's the red going in, but he's got to pull out another one now.
Ronnie Sullivan, 32. One. Seven.
Well, Duane is going to have to make this opportunity count, like you feel,
8.
if he's going to play any part in this match. And, of course, he'll need all the reds. The one on the right cushion is going to be the problem. As we were saying earlier, he has beaten a good player to get here, Mitchell Mann. Very underrated player who Duane beat.
13.
Although this is pretty ghastly queuing that he's faced with. Right over the top of the brown. Horrible shot. Look at that. Hate to say it, I think he got a kick. The noise it made. Yeah. He's having the cue ball cleaned. Last thing he needed.
Time to invest in that new chalk, I think. Well, there is
17.
the old-fashioned chalk.
In Duane's defence, I think Ronnie's also using it. He's not using the new finished chalk they're all speaking about. Whichever way you look at it, both players are getting a few bad contacts.
Went on 17.
That was unlucky. It was very close.
The difference, 51 on the table.
One.
And the angle is there if he wants to nudge that red out. Well, he never fails on those shots to grasp the net and take the risk.
4.
That's a good shot as well. Queuing down, he had his hand on the cushion rail, but not a simple pot. Now, obviously, have his attentions now on the yellow. Will it pass the brown to the top right?
11.
That's why he checked. That's the only difficulty you'd think from here. Well, this will take a good positional shot. There's the chalk, both using the same brand. Now, as you play the cannon, this could be a wonderful shot if he gets it right. Just
19.
clung to it.
Ronnie Sullivan, 19.
Pretty useful contribution, albeit a modest 19 points from O'Sullivan to put him in control of the table and 4 points ahead with the colours remaining.
Well, it was a great effort, this. A little delicate cannon. If he hits half of the yellow, he would have been on it.
Oh, and a miss.
Foul miss, free ball. The
Wayne Jones, 4.
full house.
Free ball.
But back it goes.
Oh, and a miss. Wayne Jones, 4. Free ball.
I think that replay tells us what he's trying to do, trying to cash it really thin. And he's happy to give these points away in the quest of just a tiny contact on the yellow,
Duane draws 4.
putting distance between the yellow and the cue ball. And Duane just getting out of his chair for a second, but it was obvious he's going to have the balls replaced. Ronnie will play the same shot, no doubt, until he gets it. And that's what he tried on the other 3 goes. In the end, it was worth the wait. That's played really well. Just enough of a gap to get in behind that, to play it cushion first. Well, that's not quite the same shot as Ronnie faced last time, but it's very similar. And he'll no doubt try and hit the thin edge again. Wow. As he left it, Ronnie having a look. Now Duane doing so. Might not be able to get to it without a touch of swerve. Touch of right-hand side. No putt available. Ronnie was lucky there. And the balls seem to be flying around in all angles here, all different directions. And they seem to be going safe as well. Twice Ronnie's nearly potted the yellow to that left middle.
It's been a bit of a stalemate on the yellow.
And that's okay. The priority always to get the object ball past the middle pocket. It's been a slightly odd match, this. Ronnie not at his best, but just holding the advantage. I feel that Duane, as I said earlier, has to win this frame, or else it's hard to imagine it.
Foul. Duane Jones 4.
The foul means that Duane Jones is 12 points in front, so yellow, green and brown is what he needs.
Two.
What an opportunity he's let slip there.
It really was.
Duane Jones, two.
That is something he can't afford to do. The only thing I will say is that Ronnie does need up to the black, and including the black. So that's his lifeline.
Three. Seven.
Well, it has been a strange match, as you say. Sullivan has a very healthy pot success rate at 95, and yet he could be 3-0 down in the event. He's 2 balls away from being 3-0 in front. This is the key shot.
Yeah, we did see 1 or 2 balls going quite comfortably along there. Certainly one yesterday. But Ronnie will give this pocket every chance. Play it slowly.
And in it goes. Well, not vintage Rocket Ronnie, but the scoreline suggests that he is very much on the cusp of another victory this season. 3-0 up, just 1 frame required for a place in the round of 32. Is just a frame away from the round of 32 at the Northern Ireland Open, leading as he is 3-0 over Duane Jones. He's had a lot of chances in this match, enough to be leading 3-0 himself, but ifs, buts and maybes don't get it done. Just saw the Eurosport player there showing the match on table 2. Jack Lazowski up against Ricky Walden. Walden having taken the first 2 frames.
Yes, it's been a subdued O'Sullivan this afternoon, but he's got a 3-0 lead, and really that's all that matters.
Now, earlier on, Ronnie O'Sullivan was using the more traditional blue chalk, but look, he switched at the end of that third frame. He was using that new finish chalk at the Shanghai Masters, and he switched back mid-match, Neil.
It's a good spot, Philip. You were the one that noticed that, and yeah, well, we've had a lot of kicks, haven't we? I mean, it's just a fact. So whether there's something in that or not, but there could be. Tomorrow's the day when the tournament really moves on, isn't it? We get down to 32 at the end of today, and then great shot from Duane Jones there, by the way, when he taps the table. But from 32, 2 matches and 8 will remain, and that's when it becomes a one-table setup. Certainly all in this hall anyway, the play from Friday onwards, and becomes a bigger and more atmospheric event. All these home nations events are exactly the same. It's a scramble to get to the one table. Neil Robertson made that point earlier. Until then, well, you've just got to win your match. We had the best view in the house there of that. It was always overcutting it.
One.
No, that was a better shot than it looked. It wasn't straight on the black. You had to really time that to get up the table.
9.
It hasn't
16.
been the free scoring Ronnie O'Sullivan what we saw against Lucas Kleckers in the first round, but that may be about to change.
$17.
And Ronnie certainly looked at the bottom red. I don't know if he's on it or not.
Point 2.
He looked at it before the previous shot, but he's not quite there. And I think, unless he pulls out something miraculous, the break ends.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 22. One.
Well, it's been a feature of O'Sullivan snooker this season, the quality of his long-range potting. There was another one.
Eight. Nine. It's the carpet. Yeah.
Don't know what happened there. Maybe the referee stumbled or something. I really don't know.
$15. $16.
Well, that might just be the beginning of the end for Duane Jones.
Yep.
Sullivan calls for the spider. 43 in front. Red's open. Normally this means the killing thrust.
Yeah, I think this was well played, but in pushing the reds on, he's made it a little awkward. He's got the extended spider out now. Played it well. He needed more elevation. And with the extended spider, he could get lower on the cue ball to get a little bit of stun on there. Well, he could have lost all of the first three frames, O'Sullivan, actually.
29.
But this one is, this frame doesn't look
30.
as if it's in any doubt. Not over the line yet. But as I said earlier, you know, you sometimes just get the result. Ronnie, I don't think will be delighted with how he's played, but a win is a win. And,
37.
I worked it out that he'd won 18 of his last
38.
20 matches in the space of the last 2 to 3 weeks, and this would be another one on the board.
Yes, and although it doesn't feel like vintage O'Sullivan today, he's only missed 3 pots.
45.
96% pot success rate. Duane Jones down at 84. That was never going to be good enough. He's had chances. He's had plenty of them.
46.
Had a couple of unlucky kicks in the first frame, which certainly didn't help his cause.
That's been a really good point you're making. I mean, 96%. It doesn't quite feel like he's played to that level, but hey, that's as good as we've seen all week.
53.
O'Sullivan home and hosed.
54.
Still got time to flirt with the referee. No end to this
61.
guy's talents.
$62.
Elliot Slessor next for the Rocket. Made the last 16 here last year, where he was beaten in an absolute cracker by Kyron Wilson, who, of course, bowed out in the first round.
67.
His best showing in the home nations last season was his quarter-final appearance at the Scottish
68.
Masters, which is coming up next month, of course, in Glasgow. Eurosport will be there, as will Quest.
74.
But he's finishing here with a flourish.
75.
Phoning in on his 33rd century of the season. Unlucky. Just looking to feather that red.
81. Ronnie O'Sullivan.
No century from Ronnie O'Sullivan, but a break of 81, more than enough to get the job done. And frightening to think that even in first gear, second gear, he's still a formidable opponent. Yet another victory for the Rocket. He's safely through to the round of 32, courtesy of a whitewash victory over the Welshman Duane Jones.
Absolutely, guys. Not vintage Ronnie, but always had enough. Duane Jones, you have to remember, just starting out in his full